How have things changed lately?
Vegan restaurants everywhere. If people saw what I have seen in laboratories, they'd be marching in the streets by the hundreds of thousands.
We know there's 4 states, yes, in the United States, which banned vivisection.
My job is to expose you. The way you can fight that, battle that, is just use cruelty-free products. It's the best thing you can do, and you can do it on a daily basis.
So may veganism and the absence of fur be just a fashion?
The number one that started out being cruelty-free was Paul Mitchell systems. The media is there for us, and I'll say this to activists all over the world. I don't think there's more active people in the world than Ukrainians. I mean, they fight for something they believe in.
Hello, Chris, once again. Thanks a lot for meeting us.
Sure. My pleasure, my honor.
So we'd like to know, LCA, Last Chance for Animals, is 35 years old, as I know, this year. How have things changed lately, and what changes do you see in people's attitude to animals last maybe 10, 5
I
years?
see a lot of changes now happening, mostly good. There's some things I'm not happy with, but you know, things, I'm not used to things going slow. I like to see things move faster. And one of the things I'm really happy about is seeing the whole vegan movement take place. The vegan restaurants everywhere. I just came back from Italy, and I was surprised to see vegan restaurants and vegan restaurants that weren't vegan but had a lot of vegan options, and it said it on the window outside, and they're promoting it. So that makes me very happy. And I've got some friends who are very hardcore Italian Americans, and they used to eat meat 2-3 times a day, 7 days a week. Now, not even touching it. And my friend Paulie, he goes 3-4 months at a time being pure vegan, then he'll have something that's not, and he feels terrible. But he used to argue with me for years. He argued with me about it. Anyway, I see that change happening. I see change in legislations happening. I see people's awareness is a lot more today, and things are starting to happen faster and faster and faster. When I first started 40 years ago, 5 years before I started LCA, I was involved in real hardcore animal rights, let's just say, and it was hard. If you told somebody you were vegetarian, they thought you were either pinko, communist, or gay. You know, and it's just people's perception have changed today dramatically. What I'm not so happy about is I see some, you know, NGOs here in this country have become very laxant or very pat on the back kind of thing. You know, they go to conferences and I think they're not spending the money wisely. I think more investigations, more legislation, more stuff of that nature needs to be incurred. But I have seen too much self-adulation amongst NGO groups. I'll say that. Not popular to say, but it's true. And there are a few still hardcore groups like LCA, like Shark, as an organization that still does investigations and really hardcore stuff. And I think that's what really built this movement, and that's what it's going to need to take it to the next step. But things change and people do things differently, you know. So those are some of the positive things. The fashion brands have changed dramatically. Was it Jimmy Choo, one of those, have you know, found out that fur is not really cool.
Yes.
You know, and you got to kind of keep an eye on the fashion world too, because it swings this way, and then it feels good, it swings back the other way. It's happened before. I've seen it where we thought the end of fur was in sight, and
really?
all of a sudden things changed, and they just started making apparel that was blue, but it was fur underneath, you know, with different colors. And linings inside the coat. So you didn't see a fur coat anymore, but it still had as many dead animals on it as it did before. Legislation. We got all types of great legislation happening here in California. New Jersey's got some great legislation that's happening. That's to stop the slaughter of pregnant animals. The big thing I see, veganism has taken, really hardcore, and that's where the bulk of the animals, as we know, on factory farms are slaughtered, tortured, and slaughtered. And make no mistake about it, they're tortured by the mere fact that they sit in these confined areas for the entirety of their lives. It's torture.
Sure.
And then you have the fur farms. People are becoming aware of the fur farms more and more, and they start to make more conscious choices. But it's taken a long time to get there. When I first started, I thought if people saw what I have seen in laboratories, they'd be marching in the streets by the hundreds of thousands. Never happened. Still has never happened. But change is coming about in different ways. Not everybody's going to think and feel the way I do.
So may veganism and the absence of fur be just a fashion, or do you see the trend which will just develop in future? Because for me, I never saw that such a situation has been before, because I'm doing this like less than a year. So for me, it's something new. But you say it already took place once.
I've seen it where it looked like 20 years ago, where it looked like fur was on its way out. It's come back with a vengeance. And it's because, a lot of it's because the organizations, the animal rights organizations, have not stayed vigilant about it. Some of it's our fault. And some of it is, as you said, it's fashion. This is the fashion this year. Next year, this is going to be the fashion. So just like fashion changes, so do people's moral concepts of it.
How do the donors find out about you, and how do they want to give you their money so you can do your job?
There's several ways that donors have found who we are. One, by our victories and our reputation and what we've had. We've got probably I'm not bragging about it, but we've probably got the most victories and investigations than anybody else, by far. Because that's what we concentrate on, investigations. And we stay on something from A to Z, whether it's to bring laws into effect, put the person out of business, or the company out of business, or get at least getting maximum exposure on what's going on in that facility, whether it be a research facility, factory farm, fur farm, dog puppy mill, or whatever. We stay on it. We stayed on an issue called bee dealers. USDA has three main classifications of dealers: A, B, and C. A dealers are breeders, make it very simple. C dealers are show animals. B dealers are people who procure animals already in existence, such as your dog, your cat. They steal them, or take them under false pretenses. They're going to give them a good home, free, and then they turn around and sell them to research facilities. We stayed on that when we learned about it 32 years ago. We stayed on it until there are no more Class B dealers in the United States now. We had to go up against the biomedical research community, big pharma. We had to go up against everybody to get rid of this. But I looked at the bee dealers as the Achilles heel for the biomedical research community. And the reason that is because everybody's, even if you believe in research or you don't believe in it, whatever, they're worried about their dog. They don't want their dog or their cat going to research. So I looked at this and I found out about it, I learned about it when no one else knew about it. And we started doing our investigation and focusing on Class B dealers. And as long as the USDA keeps licensing Class B dealers, they have allowed a criminal element of people to come into existence and stay in existence because there's a lot of money and a lot of profit. And I've called them on it. I've called the USDA. I've been in their office, the head #1 guy in the USDA. And the United States Department of Agriculture is the second next to the Pentagon, is the largest government entity there is in the United States. And it's hard to go up against them. But we did, and we did successfully. But it took 32 years, and people seeing us on TV with busting into a place and exposing a facility for what's going on in it. And we have been termed the FBI of animal rights or the Navy SEAL of the animal movement, because we really stay focused and we go after them. And one thing I know investigations. And that is really what most corporations or entities or government agencies really fear. Somebody getting on the inside, exposing what's going on. We just had a major vivisection victory up in Canada a year and a half, 2 years ago, ITR. And we exposed what was going on in there. Now there's legislation in Canada to regulate and eliminate certain parts of of animal experimentation. They didn't even know, the government agencies didn't even know it was going on. But we exposed it, and it was a well done investigation. And the last time anybody's really done something on vivisection, because it's hard. It's hard to get into these laboratories. It's hard to do these things.
Sure.
The last time somebody did something was us. And that was back in '88 when we broke into the laboratory at UCLA, the Brain Research Institute. And we exposed what was going on inside there. That was actually, when we kicked in the door, that was known as the kick, or the broken door that exposed the vivisection community. It was 30 years ago, 31 years ago. So I think organizations really need to stay focused and don't make the first thing about getting big, or making money, or your name recognition. Make it about the animals, about the animals, about the animals. And then the other things will always fall into place. The money eventually will come in, and maybe a little longer, but you're doing the right thing. I always look at, what is it my opposition, my enemy, doesn't want? They don't want to be exposed. I hear that. I say, okay, I'm going to expose them. They don't want people to know this. I go in there and I find out what that is, and I expose it. And I think that's the way you need to stay. Just keep going toward the core of the problem and just question things. And you'll get the answers, and you'll make the changes. But you got to stick with it. Persistence, tenacity.
So that's a question about vivisection. We know there's 4 states, yes, in the United States, which banned vivisection. And what is the situation in other states nowadays?
The thing that's taking place, that you're seeing the changes initially, is in product or cosmetic testing.
Yes.
Cosmetic, number one. You see a lot of the companies now are going cruelty-free. The number one that started out being cruelty-free was Paul Mitchell Systems and Paul Mitchell Hair Products. They were number one, and he's been doing this for over 40 years. And JP is a friend of mine. And I said to him one time, I said, how do you have a safe product if you don't test it? He said, I use safe ingredients. And I test it on my family and my hairdressers. So that's how he gets a safe product. It's simple. It's not complicated. They like to complicate things. There's nothing complicated about it. So cosmetic industry first, then the product industry. Give you an example. On the products, you have bleach, or these soap suds, or different things that have a lot of chemicals in them. They keep doing tests on animals every year. Same test over and over and over and over and over again. So you ask yourself, why do they do it? Because when they walk into court and you're suing them because your child got chemicals in his eyes, and you're upset about it, and you want to see it stopped, and you don't want other children to have to go through this, or other families, you go ahead and you sue them. They walk in with their 10, 12 attorneys, and they fight it, and they say, hey, look, we got a stack. We do our diligence. We do research every year on these products. We put the chemicals in the rabbits' eyes. We do this, we do that. And that's just to get them off the lawsuit, get them out of a lawsuit, make the lawsuit go away, or make it easier in a payment that they have to make. But it still goes on. It's been going on since I'm doing this for over 40 years. These products are still testing, but it's big industry. Procter and Gamble and all these other soap companies and stuff. The way you can fight that, battle that, is just use cruelty-free products. That's the best thing you can do, and you can do it on a daily basis. So that's how you fight it, you know. And then the next one will be, of course, biomedical research. That's always going to be the toughest fight, because people think, they use the argument all the time, you're a dog or you're a child. Well, you keep doing it on dogs, it's going to be your child. It doesn't extrapolate over from animals to, from humans to animals, or animals to humans, I should say. It doesn't extrapolate. So it's going to be a tougher battle, and, you know, you have the AMA, it's controlled by the pharmaceutical companies. Without the pharmaceutical companies, they're nothing. And the pharmaceutical companies are controlled by the multinational petrochemical corporations that run the world. So we have a battle, we have a fight again, you know, on our hands. But I do believe that time and evolution of people's thinking and the horrible results that come out of doing these tests on animals, because it always affects human beings, it always affects children and people. And then that's when enough people get exposed to this kind of stuff, they're going to want to make a change. We're going to insist on making a change, just like they are now doing with vegan food. And a lot of people don't do it out of humane reasons. They do it out of health reasons, or they do it for environmental reasons, or just ethical reasons. So it's changing, but vivisection will be the last big battle. But it's happening, you know. And we're in a process. We'll keep exposing these laboratories, and we'll keep exposing them and keep exposing them. And sooner or later, people will get it, you know. You have to show people something many times before they realize it's a problem. I read a study one time on commercials on TV for a product, whatever the product is. People have to see it on the average of 9 times before they realize the product exists. Because you see it, you don't think anything of it, and then you see it again. Sooner or later, they realize this product exists. Now they start to learn more about it. It's the same thing with what we have to do. What I did 35 years ago was I brought civil disobedience, demonstrations of civil disobedience to the facilities that were just exposed a month before, and then bring it back out again when you're doing a demonstration out there, or civil disobedience, and the media sees it, they put the footage back on of what went on in the laboratory during the raid. So now the public gets to see it again. So you keep use civil disobedience as a means to expose and educate the people. The media is there for us, and I'll say this to activists all over the world. And you got media all over the world. I don't care what country you're in. There's media and there's good media, and they will cover stuff like this. Keep using them. They want to be used. I'm sorry about the hearing problem.
That's fine, don't worry.
I lost my hearing I got shot in the stomach in the car. And then I got shot again. But it's the shot that went off right here that really...
An accident?
No.
No?
An FBI informant shot me. So.
For LCA? Or?
It was before I started LCA.
But for the same things, yes?
No, actually it was after. But it had to do with other activities that happened before. Media and honest facts, not blown out statistics, not blown out facts, just real facts give the people. And it's another problem I have, what I see going on. People, and there are individuals I'm thinking of, that just make up numbers. Clearly not realistic. But they make them up and they throw them out there and people believe it. And we don't do that. I don't find that to be credible. I mean, there are sometimes you want to enhance a story. You want to do something to make it more palatable to the people. But don't lie to the people, blatantly lie about facts and stuff like that. Because then you discredit your organization and you discredit the movement. And a lot of these people are Johnny-come-lately anyway. They just got into the movement 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And they're just doing whatever they want to do. And it's just, it loses what many people have worked decades to change. Mm-hmm. One of the best tools LCA's ever had was civil disobedience. Mm-hmm. And there's all kinds of civil disobedience. There's civil disobedience just going blatantly up against the law, going into a facility. You take it from the pinnacle, Animal Liberation Front. Take animals out of laboratories, out of fur farms, and what have you. Mm-hmm. Liberation. You have that aspect of it. Civil disobedience, hunger strikes. Media watches that. They're on it all the time. They see it. They follow it. Mm-hmm. I would say civil disobedience is probably one of the best tools you could use, along with the media. Use the media as a tool. Education, going into the school systems, talking to the kids. Talk with the kids. Don't talk to them. Don't talk down to them, because kids are so smart today. Mm-hmm. And look at your audience. Look at your audience all the time, and try to read what your audience is saying, feeling, what they're hearing, what they're listening to, what they're interested in, what they're not interested in. And you change your talks. I think talks to kids are vital. It's crucial. And I think what material that we get out to the public should be first-class material. As far as editing, telling the story, and the documentation of the undercover footage, it should be first class. So I would say that those are the most important things for me. Lawsuits, file lawsuits. I'm all about filing lawsuits, and they hate that. They don't, because then you can get standing for discovery, where they have to open up their books to certain things. You got to think again. You got to think like what your opposition thinks, and they don't want. They don't want to be exposed. So I hear that. Mm-hmm. So my job is to expose them, whatever that takes, whatever it takes. There's online petitions. I would say work with legislators, lobby. Lobbying is very important if you want to get bills put. It all comes down to whatever we do out in the field, whether it's investigations, civil disobedience, campaigns, we want to change the laws.
Yes.
And the way to do that is you contact your legislators, go sit down, talk with them, be very respectful, and be very intelligent about what you're going to represent to them, and have a computer or something electronic where you could show them your videos and show them what you've done. I did something years ago that was unheard of. It was 25, 30 years ago. And it was a product and cosmetic testing bill in the state of California, way ahead of its time. And I took a TV, in those days, a big heavy TV, and a VHS recorder taped to the TV, and I had a 50-foot extension cord attached to the top of the recorder, and I would walk in and I'd say, "Senator, can I have 5 minutes of your time? 2-minute video, 3-minute spiel, and I'm out of here." They were shocked, My pitch was very short, very succinct, and very different. They said, yeah, sure, okay, yeah. We don't have an extension. I said, I got my own extension cord. Plug it in, pop on the VCR, and they watch the 3 minutes of 2-3 minutes of video. I gave them a spiel. And they were laughing at me when I first did it, because the first place I'd come up in the rain. It was pouring rain, and I had the thing covered in plastic, and they loved it. They first of all, the same senators and legislators that laughed at me when they were I was getting on the elevator, and here I am dragging my thing all by myself. One person can make a difference. That's important to know. Another example, I projected the first time ever on these you go down Sunset Boulevard and these high rises and all you see, posters now.
Yeah.
That never existed. And I did it about 9 months before, I got a projector, the largest, most powerful projector in the world. And it came out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I had the guy bring it up on a way, and he would, aim it around. The light was enormous. And we were projecting vivisection images up on the sides of walls. When we would get chased, we keep going. We'd go to the next place. Keep putting these images up. We get chased, we keep going. And, but all of a sudden you find that all these places now have similar stuff, but permanent, more permanent. But you can come up with these ideas. Ideas are unlimited. You just got to be creative. And you got to have the right objective in mind. Expose. And nobody likes to be exposed if they're doing something reprehensible.
So the last question, you have a huge experience. So what is the message you want to give to Ukrainian activists? What are your suggestions to them?
Ukrainian activists?
Yes.
I don't think there's more active people in the world than Ukrainians. I mean, they fight for something they believe in.
Yeah.
And honorably so. I really think that they believe in something, and they're fierce fighters for what they believe in, whatever side you're taking. And if you're caring about the animals, it's the things that I've mentioned where take it seriously, put the animal issue first, second, third. That's your main target. Those are the main issues. Put the animals first. And don't put yourself, don't put the organization first, don't put the animals first. And do it with intelligence, and don't be sloppy about it. You're going to do something that's even illegal, do it intelligently. Always make sure no one gets hurt. No one should ever get hurt, whether it's underground issues, above ground. Violence will never survive. So I say to people in Ukraine, just be aggressive, but be smart, and you'll make a difference. One person can make a change. Together, we can make a difference. We can really make a difference and change the world.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope it was okay.
Yes, that was very powerful, I think.